The alien woman told me we had been married for 20 years, but I was seeing her for the first time. He woke to the sound, mechanical and distinctly judgmental. It pulsed through the floor, like the spaceship itself was annoyed he hadn't gotten up sooner. He sat up too fast and immediately regretted it. The ceiling above him shifted into a swirl of bioluminescent patterns, responding to his disorientation by displaying what appeared to be a helpful animation of a cartoon brain hitting a wall and falling over. "Ah, he's awake. Again. That's progress." The voice came from the corner of the room, warm, musical, and just smug enough to be irritating. He blinked several times. A woman stood there, tall, graceful, and wearing a sleek silver flight suit that clung to her like it had been designed by a fashion-forward squid. She had long black hair twisted up into an intricate coil, and her ears, long, curved slightly backward, and shimmered faintly with veins of green light. Definitely not Earth standard. She smiled at him like a cat who knew exactly where the laser pointer was. "Hi, darling. You're looking disoriented and mildly terrified. It's cute." He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again, searching for words in the mush of what should have been his memory. "Who are you?" Her smile didn't waver. "Well, that's a dramatic start. I was hoping we could skip the whole identity crisis phase this time, but fine." She walked toward him slowly, confidently, stopping at the edge of the bed. "My name is Kalia. I'm your wife. We've been married for 20 years. Give or take 1 or 2, depending on how you count the time loop." He stared at her. "That's not funny. I wasn't trying to be funny, though I will say your taste in women is excellent." She spun once, struck a pose, then winked. "You have good instincts. Even now, I can tell you're wondering how a guy who owns 3 identical pairs of cargo pants landed a 10-dimensional beauty." "Cargo pants are practical," he muttered. Sure. Anyway, welcome back. You've been out for a bit. But don't worry, the ship's systems say you're about 82% functional. That's better than the coffee maker." "I don't know you," he said flatly. "I've never seen you before in my life." She tilted her head, looking genuinely sympathetic. "Yeah, we thought this might happen again. Your brain, well, let's just say it didn't appreciate the last warp jump, or the memory suppression serum, or the time you fell out of the airlock during an argument and hit your head on a passing meteor. That one was on you, by the way." "Why would I agree to suppress my memories?" Kalia pulled up a stool that unfolded itself from the wall with a faint squeak. She sat down and folded her hands in her lap. "We made a deal. There was a mission. Dangerous, messy, morally gray. My favorite kind. You volunteered, but you insisted that if things went bad and I had to bring you back, I should give you a clean slate. Fresh start. You said, and I quote, like a poorly maintained hard drive, and if I try to flirt with you again, make sure I'm not holding hot soup." He squinted. "That sounds like something I'd say." "See, that's the spirit." He rubbed his temples. "Where am I?" "You're aboard the Marital Bliss." "Yes, that's really the ship's name. You named it, while drunk, on fermented Glarn root. I tried to talk you out of it, but you insisted it was ironic and romantic. Also, you programmed the onboard AI to respond to both of our voices and occasionally sing 1980s Earth ballads when the mood lighting is on." "Please tell me you're joking." A soft voice from the wall chimed in, startling him. "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" "Stop it," he shouted. "Understood," the AI replied, chipper. "Would you prefer Celine Dion?" No." Kalia covered her mouth, clearly suppressing laughter. "You have no idea how many years I've waited to see that exact expression again. Priceless." He scowled. "This is insane. I don't know who I am. I don't remember anything about you. I don't remember this ship, and I definitely don't remember programming a singing AI." Kalia reached into her jacket and pulled out a small cylindrical device. She tossed it to him. He caught it instinctively. It buzzed once, then projected a small hologram above his palm, a photo of the two of them, standing on a crystalline beach under a binary sunset. He had his arm around her, grinning like a lunatic. She looked smug. A caption scrolled beneath, "Vacation number 58, you only fell into the ocean twice this time." He swallowed. "That doesn't prove anything." "No," she said gently, "but it's a start." They sat in silence for a moment. The ship's lights dimmed slightly, mimicking an artificial dusk. Somewhere in the background, a mechanical purring started up. "Oh good, Mr. Paws is awake," Kalia said brightly. The door slid open, and a robotic feline waddled in, a gleaming chrome body shaped vaguely like a house cat, except its tail was a flexible laser pointer and its eyes glowed red when it purred. It leapt onto the bed with an alarming clank, sniffed him, then proceeded to lick his cheek with a warm, microfiber tongue. "What the hell is that?" "Our cat. You insisted. You built him from spare engine parts and a defunct toaster. He loves you, mostly because you programmed him to." Mr. Paws meowed, then in a distinctly robotic voice said, "Dad, wake up! Dad, feed me, or I'll claw the upholstery again." Kelia beamed. "He remembers you perfectly. I feel like I've been kidnapped by a space cult. Don't be dramatic, we're barely a cult, we have bylaws and a snack drawer." He slid off the bed and took a few unsteady steps toward the window. Outside, space stretched in endless blackness, dotted with stars. A nebula pulsed in the distance, magenta and gold like a spilled painting. Somewhere out there was the truth, or at least a version of it. He turned to face her again. "I'm not saying I believe you." Kalia shrugged. "I'm not asking you to. I just want you to give me a chance to win you back. Again, you loved me once, you know." He raised an eyebrow. "So you say." She grinned. "Oh, I say a lot of things, but I've got 20 years of evidence, a robot cat and an AI DJ to back me up." The lights shifted. The AI chimed in again. "I will always love you." He groaned. "This is going to be a long trip." Kalia laughed. "You have no idea." He followed Kalia down a curving corridor that smelled faintly of ionized citrus and something suspiciously like burnt toast. The walls pulsed gently, responding to their footsteps with soft glows. Lavender for her, a confused beige for him. Apparently the ship hadn't figured out his mood settings yet. A ceiling panel blinked overhead and displayed a blinking arrow that read, "Welcome back, probably." "You'd think after 20 years I'd be entitled to a little more dramatic flair," he muttered. Kalia pressed her palm to a console and a door hissed open. "You used to demand zero dramatic flair, said it gave you indigestion." "I said that?" "Right after the incident with the holographic mariachi band. That birthday surprise nearly killed you." "That's oddly specific." "I keep receipts." The room they entered was lined with curved glass panels that looked out over a glowing nebula field. In the center stood a round table, scattered with open data pads, food wrappers, and a disturbingly large number of empty tea mugs. A floating droid hovered near the ceiling, projecting a miniature solar system that rotated slowly with an occasional hiccup. "This is our command hub," Kalia said, "and also our dining room, office, meditation chamber, and where we once held a questionable karaoke night with a crew of Pluvian traders." He circled the table slowly, eyes lingering on a cracked mug that read "Galaxy's Best Spouse" in glittering alien glyphs. "Cozy. Don't let the clutter fool you. This is a state-of-the-art vessel. You just didn't believe in filing cabinet." He sat and ran a hand through his hair, trying to organize the shapeless cloud in his brain. "So what now? You expect me to just resume life like nothing happened?" "No," she said gently. "I expect you to ask a lot of skeptical questions, accuse me of implanting false memories, and eventually come around after an awkward bonding experience involving space pirates or explosive food. That feels alarmingly specific. We've done this before." "Seriously?" "Only twice. Maybe 3 times, if you count that time loop incident. But you always come back around, eventually." He stared at her. "And you keep doing this?" Kalia shrugged. "I'm persistent. You're worth it. Also, I have no hobbies outside of being married to you and mildly terrorizing bureaucrats." The floating droid hiccuped, and a tiny asteroid ricocheted off Saturn. Neither of them reacted. "I need proof," he said finally. "More than a hologram and a sentient toaster cat. Show me something that would convince me I wasn't just part of some elaborate galactic prank show." She nodded, stood, and waved him over to a side panel. With a tap of her fingers, the wall split apart and revealed a recessed chamber filled with blinking crystals, tangled cords, and a series of curved screens. One of them flickered on to show his own face, slightly younger, hair longer, wearing a ridiculous robe embroidered with tiny stars. In the recording, he leaned into the camera and grinned. "Hey, me. If you're watching this, it means things went sideways. Again, classic us. Don't panic, you're not dead, yet, just temporarily memory impaired. Again." Future him held up a small cactus with googly eyes glued to it. "This is Greg. You named him after that ambassador you accidentally insulted. Don't water him more than once every 6 months or he explodes. Kalia leaned in. He did explode, just for the record. Future him set Greg down and grew serious. Look, if Callie is there, trust her. You two have been through more than you can possibly imagine. The memory wipe was your choice. We were in deep, spy stuff, sabotage, covert operations that made no sense even when you remembered them. But you did it for her, for the people you helped, for a second chance. The screen flickered and cut to static. Well, he said, stunned. That's something. Kalia gave him a small smile. You hated making that recording. You said it was like leaving a note for your own ghost, but I insisted, just in case. He rubbed the back of his neck, still not sure what to do with all this. You don't have to do anything right now, just come see something else, one more piece of the puzzle. She led him through a narrow corridor with glowing pipes overhead and into a smaller chamber with rows of stasis pods, each labeled with indecipherable characters. She tapped one. It hissed open and a warm mist drifted out. Inside was a plant, a giant, angry-looking bulb with petals that twitched when it sensed him. It vibrated and emitted a low, threatening growl. He jumped. What the hell is that? That's Gorbels. He's our wedding gift from the Zarnathi Queen. You named him. The plant burped. You also taught him to say, I object during our vow renewal. You thought it was hilarious. I was wrong. No argument here. The door behind them opened and Mr. Paws rolled in, dragging a bag labeled emergency cookies. He dropped it at his feet and announced, Snack protocol activated. See, Kalia said. Even your robot cat believes in snack-based memory recovery. He sighed, took the bag, opened it, and pulled out a cookie that smelled like cinnamon and mild regret. So what happens if I don't remember? Kalia hesitated. Then we make new memories. Start over. We've done it before. You always find your way back. He took a bite. It crunched loudly. It tastes like cardboard. You insisted on baking them yourself, said replicators lacked soul. That tracks. They returned to the command hub. Kalia flicked a switch and the ceiling peeled back in layers, revealing a clear dome. Stars spread above them in a breathtaking cascade. A nearby comet glided past in glowing silence. He watched in awe. That's beautiful. You proposed under that comet trail. You said it looked like cosmic confetti. Then you panicked and tried to retract the proposal 30 seconds later because you realized your fly was down. Sounds romantic. It was. They sat together in the quiet for a while. The stars shifted. Somewhere far away, a beacon pulsed once, twice, and faded. He leaned back. All right, let's say I give this a chance. Just a chance. Kalia's smile was slow and genuine. I'll take it. Mr. Paws jumped into his lap and purred, then accidentally activated its flamethrower tail. A small corner of the rug caught fire. He sighed. We're married, huh? Legally, spiritually, and probably metaphysically, yes. Figures. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. Let's see if love can survive arson. The mission, according to Kalia, was routine, which he had already learned was her polite way of saying mildly life-threatening. She handed him a suit woven from adaptive nanothread and assured him that only 3 test pilots had spontaneously combusted during the last deployment cycle. And they were jerks, she added. He examined the suit skeptically. It's humming. It's excited, she said. Just like me, we're delivering plasma filters to a mining colony orbiting a collapsing white dwarf. Should be smooth sailing unless someone accidentally angers the local radiation cult again. That was one time, and I apologized, in interpretive dance. They still have the footage. The suit sealed around him with a satisfying whumph, the kind that made him feel like a freshly baked loaf of bread. Kalia was already geared up, adjusting the controls on her wrist, her long ears twitching slightly with amusement. The ship's AI chimed in through the intercom. Flight plan loaded. Danger level, mild. Probability of spontaneous explosion, statistically irrelevant. But not 0. He muttered. That's comforting. Kalia activated the docking clamps, and the marital bliss detached from its orbit around a gas giant with a leisurely groan. The engines purred, then kicked in with a jolt that nearly knocked him into the bulkhead. He grabbed a stabilizer bar and glared. You could have warned me. I thought the element of surprise would jumpstart your instincts. My instincts want to sue. They slid into sublight and navigated toward the dwarf system, where the mining colony hung precariously close to an unstable stellar corpse. As they approached, the comms crackled and a grumpy voice came through. Freighter marital bliss, Identify and state your purpose. Also, your ship name is ridiculous. Kalia leaned in. We're delivering your custom plasma filters, and don't blame us for the name. Blame my husband's questionable sense of humor. There was a pause. Didn't he fall into a lava trench last time? He got better, he scowled. You told me that was a dream. It was, a shared dream. That happened during a diplomatic mission, which ended in a minor treaty and a very memorable lawsuit. The docking process was uneventful, apart from the part where a small maintenance drone got stuck to his helmet and insisted on reprogramming his eyebrows. Kalia smacked it off gently with a wrench, and they entered the mining station with their cargo in tow. Inside, the colony was chaotic. Alarms blared somewhere in the distance, and several workers were arguing over whose turn it was to feed the sentient ore pile. A childlike robot rolled past them, dragging a cart full of glowing rocks and singing an off-key lullaby about space fungus. A harried-looking foreman waved them down. You're late, Kalia handed over a datapad. Only by 17 minutes, and technically we arrived before the singularity surge you predicted, so you're welcome. The foreman scowled. That's not how time works. Tell that to our cat. He's been celebrating New Year's Eve for the last 6 hours. He signed the delivery manifest with a stylus that kept trying to bite his hand and motioned them toward the storage bay. Drop the cargo and get out. The cult's getting twitchy again. Something about a prophecy and a sandwich. He frowned. Did he say sandwich? Kalia nodded. They believe their savior will arrive on a plasma delivery ship and bring the sacred toast of illumination. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You invented it. He stopped in the hallway. I what? She smiled sweetly. You were bored. They were gullible. One thing led to another, and now they keep a holographic shrine dedicated to a slice of sourdough. They unloaded the crates in relative peace, though he noticed several cloaked figures watching from a catwalk above, whispering and holding what looked suspiciously like condiment bottles. Kalia ignored them and led him back to the ship. I need a drink, he said. I've got synth coffee and something that might be fruit juice or battery acid. You used to drink it during stress missions. Did it help? No, but it made your teeth glow. Back on board, the AI activated ambient lighting and played a soft jazz remix of whale songs from Neptune. He slumped into the pilot chair, exhausted but strangely content. I think I actually enjoyed that. Kalia blinked. You enjoyed a delivery run to a radioactive death zone where a sandwich-based religion is forming around you? I mean, relatively. She pulled out a bottle of vaguely glowing liquid and poured 2 glasses. To survival, accidental cults, and plasma filters. He raised his glass. To absurdity. They drank. It was awful. Later, he found himself in the observation deck, staring out at the warped remains of the white dwarf they'd left behind. The stars around it seemed distorted, flickering in unnatural pattern. He felt something stir, some echo of recognition, like a thought brushing the edge of his mind and then slipping away again. Kalia joined him in silence, her eyes on the stars. After a long while, he asked, Did I ever say why I fell in love with you? She didn't answer right away. Then, with a small smile, You said I made you laugh when you were trying to cry. You said I treated your fear like something we could outsmart together. And you said my ears looked like sails meant to carry someone home. He was quiet. That sounds like me. You said it during our first near-death experience. Very romantic. He chuckled softly. I still think this is all insane. Good, means you're adjusting. I might even like you a little. Kalia gave him a sideways look. Well, if you're falling for me again, try not to do it so hard this time. Last time you proposed, you cracked 3 ribs slipping on anti-grav soap. I did what now? Don't worry, she said, already walking away. The bruises were heart-shaped. He stared after her, then at the stars. Somewhere deep inside, a crack in the fog widened just slightly. Not a full memory, just a whisper of familiarity. Enough to make him stay, enough to wonder what came next. He woke to the sensation of something poking his forehead in perfect, rhythmic intervals. Poke, poke, poke. He opened one eye to find Mr. Paws standing on his chest, one metal paw raised midair. Dad, alarm override. Wakefulness required. The weird lady said so. She's my wife, he muttered. Mr. Paws tilted his head. Still weird. He shoved the cat aside and rolled out of bed. What time is it? The ship's AI answered with unhelpful cheer. Time is an illusion, but also 7:43 ship standard. Also, it's Taco Day. Taco Day? You insisted. Kalia's voice filtered through the intercom, humming some vaguely threatening melody. Get dressed, darling. We've got a lead. He stumbled into his suit and met her in the central hub, where she stood at the navigation console with a hologram of a planet rotating slowly between them. This, she said, pointing to the flickering sphere, is Nalos 7. It's not technically on any map, and the ones that mention it pretend it doesn't exist. Sounds promising. It's where you made the drop, the big one, the one that got your memories scrubbed. He raised an eyebrow. Are we going there? I've already bribed 3 black market cartographers, 2 illegal wormhole smugglers, and a sentient fog bank named Clive to get us the coordinates. So yes. Should I be nervous? Only if you see Clive again. He holds grudges. The marital bliss jumped into an unauthorized wormhole Kalia referred to affectionately as the shortcut through the screaming dimension. The ship groaned, twisted, briefly transformed into what the AI called a metaphysical metaphor, and reassembled itself 3 light minutes from. He was still holding onto his chair when the AI added, internal organs resorted, probably. Outside, the planet shimmered beneath a translucent cloud ring, half covered in dense forest, half metallic wasteland. Kalia narrowed her eyes. Surface scans say breathable atmosphere, minor radiation, and possible psychic interference. I'm not licking anything this time. No promises. You're curious when nervous. They descended. The ship touched down near a cluster of abandoned outposts, towers bent at odd angles, cables dangling like vines. As they stepped out, the ground crunched underfoot, and distant winds howled through broken steel arches. A static buzz tickled the back of his neck. Déjà vu, he murmured. Kalia glanced at him. Good, that means we're close. They entered the largest structure, a lab tower tilted just enough to make him walk like a reluctant sailor. Inside, shattered equipment littered the floor. Monitors flickered on, showing glimpses of old recordings. Him, pacing, shouting, holding strange objects with glowing cores. He stopped at one terminal. The video showed him standing beside a group of people. Alien, human, one shaped suspiciously like a jellyfish with arms. They were arguing. He watched himself slam a hand on the console. We can't do this. It'll fracture the continuum. Again. The others protested, but he cut them off. I'm not sacrificing her. Not again. The screen fizzled to black. He looked at Kalia. That was me. She nodded. This is where it happened. You volunteered to take the drive. You said if anyone had to lose themselves, it should be you. He turned back to the terminal. What was I protecting? She tapped the device at her wrist. A schematic unfurled into the air, a glowing cube of unstable energy held in a containment matrix. The Echo Core, an experimental memory storage interface, capable of rewriting reality within a fixed radius. He blinked. That sounds illegal. It is, which is why we hid it here. But you didn't trust anyone else to carry it. You volunteered. The core can't be accessed by someone who remembers what's inside. He stared at her. You're saying I'm a walking vault? More like a time-locked diary with legs. I hate that. You said the same thing before. They moved deeper into the lab. Doors opened automatically for him. Lights flickered on. A chamber glowed ahead, with a pedestal at its center. Resting on it was the core, silent, pulsing, faintly humming a tune suspiciously similar to a boy band hit from the 2090s. He stepped closer. The air thickened. His thoughts grew heavy. Kalia put a hand on his arm. Don't force it. Let it come. He closed his eyes. The first memory hit like a wave. Cold, immediate, loud. He saw Kalia laughing on the observation deck, holding a sandwich that floated slightly due to an anti-grav malfunction. He remembered teasing her, grabbing the sandwich mid-air, and her launching a full tactical retaliation with sauce packet. The second memory came faster. The mission brief, the decision, her begging him not to go through with it. He staggered back. Why didn't I listen to you? Because you're stubborn, noble, and occasionally infuriating. I fell in love with all 3. He blinked away the dizziness. So now what? Kalia approached the core. Now we find out who wants it back. The room darkened. A voice boomed through the walls. Intruders detected. He sighed. There it is! From the shadows emerged figures in armor, faceless, silent, unmistakably armed. Kalia pulled him behind a console. Memory reapers, mercenaries, their helmets block recognition fields. Great, can we reason with them? They once stole a politician's childhood for fun. I'll take that as a no. She tossed him a plasma cutter. You remember how to use one? He caught it awkwardly. Let's find out. The fight was messy, loud, and punctuated by Kalia shouting instructions like, "Left! No, your other left!" And stop trying to reason with the grenade. They managed to disable the invaders with a combination of misdirection, poor aim, and Mr. Paws unexpectedly deploying smoke bombs from his tail. At the end, the room smelled like burnt ozone and righteous victory. Kalia wiped sweat from her brow. Well, that was nostalgic. He leaned on the console. I think I remember the sandwich fight, but only the sandwich. Baby steps. They sealed the core back into its vault and reprogrammed the lab's beacon to emit a harmless distress signal loop that just repeated, "Definitely nothing illegal here." Back on the ship, as they lifted off, he watched the planet shrink behind them. Kalia handed him a fresh shirt and a chocolate bar labeled Emergency Recovery Snack. He took it, grinning. So, we just saved the galaxy? More like prevented a mild temporal inconvenience. Still, not bad for a guy who couldn't remember his toothbrush this morning. I packed it. You're welcome. He bit into the chocolate. I think I remember you yelling at me for leaving it in the cryo fridge. That was the third time. We're making progress. He stood in the ship's galley, flipping synthetic pancakes with a spatula that occasionally sparked. Mr. Paws sat on the counter, tail rotating like a lazy wind turbine. Are they supposed to be that color? Kalia asked, leaning against the doorframe. It's not burnt, he said. It's caramelized. Deeply. Aggressively. It's black. He flipped the next one onto a plate. It bounced. We can always fall back on emergency rations, she offered, holding up a bag labeled Gel-Based Nutrient Experience, Tropical Mystery Flavor. We have dignity, he said. Barely. They sat at the table, poking at their respective pancakes. The ship glided smoothly through a charted corridor of space, distant nebulae swirling beyond the observation windows. The core was secured, locked behind 10 layers of security, monitored by a humming AI with passive-aggressive tendencies. Kalia glanced at him. You slept for 14 hours. How's the brain? Less foggy, more awkward sitcom reruns playing in the background. I remembered that time we tried to infiltrate a Crotari moon cult and you got mistaken for their messiah. They made me wear a hat shaped like a lizard, and you still pulled it off. I own that lizard hat. He sipped his coffee. I also remember the day I left, the real day. You said not to go. I did anyway. She stirred her own cup quietly. Widana, you thought it was the only way. I was scared. I know. I thought losing my memories would make it easier to live with what I'd done. Turns out forgetting doesn't erase guilt. It just makes it harder to understand why you wake up hating a hole in your heart. She reached across the table, took his hand. You came back. That's what matters. He squeezed her fingers, and now I remember why. The AI beeped in. Incoming transmission from Alliance Command, Level 5 clearance. Message flagged bureaucratically urgent. Kalia groaned. That's never good. He tapped the console. A clean-cut official appeared on screen, looking like someone who'd never had fun on purpose. This is Commander Telrin of the Galactic Oversight Council. We've received reports of your involvement in the suppression and unauthorized containment of a Class V memory core. Is this true? He glanced at Kalia. She shrugged. Technically? Commander Telrin narrowed his eyes. Technically is not a valid legal defense. He leaned toward the screen. Commander, respectfully, the core is secure. The data inside is too volatile. If it fell into the wrong hands, protocol dictates all such artifacts be surrendered to central authorities. Kalia stepped forward. We're not surrendering anything until we know you won't use it as a weapon. We don't weaponize memory. Really? He said. Tell that to the guy who tried to erase my marriage and replace it with stock footage of his niece's birthday party. There was a long pause. I will escalate this to the High Ethics Tribunal, Telrin muttered. Expect a summons. Send snacks, Kalia said and ended the transmission. He stared at her. We're being sued by the galaxy. Again. Should we be worried? We're fugitives with a flying love nest, a grudge-holding AI, a weaponized houseplant, and a robot cat. We'll be fine. He leaned back in his chair. You know what? I believe you. They jumped into warp shortly after, leaving the legal bureaucracy far behind. Their next destination was a neutral zone in the Bataris expanse where a collector of illegal memories owed them a favor that involved erasing any official records of the core's existence. and incidentally, wiping out Kalia's parking tickets. I still think the hoverbike was too close to the fountain, he said. You wanted drama. I wanted gelato. Same thing. During the jump, he found himself in the observation deck again, staring at the stars. Kalia joined him, sipping from a can labeled Stellar Grape Fizz. He watched her quietly for a while. You waited for me, he said. I'd wait again. You didn't have to. I wanted to. I think, he said slowly, for the first time since I woke up, I don't feel like I'm missing something. She nodded. Because you stopped looking backward. He laughed. You always did have the last word. Only because you trail off when you're trying to be profound. Mr. Paws entered, dragging a new bag of snacks. Emergency romance cookies, it announced. He opened the bag, took a bite. Hey, these aren't bad. Kalia raised a brow. I made them. Of course you did. Later that night, after they'd settled in, the AI softly played music through the ship. Something old, soothing, wrapped in static and the hum of memories not fully returned but no longer needed. He lay next to her, fingers entwined, minds quiet. There were no more secrets, no more gaps to fill. Just the two of them, suspended in starlight, moving forward. He turned to her. Do you think, he said, we'll ever be normal? She chuckled. Absolutely not. Good, he smiled. Normal's overrated. The end.